Indiana Governor Mike Braun is now allowing the execution of an Indianapolis man who killed a Beech Grove police officer.
Earlier today, the Indiana Parole Board sent the governor a letter recommending he deny clemency for Benjamin Ritchie.
And now the governor's responded to that recommendation. Rich Nye has been following this case for years and joins us now live in studio with not only the governor's response, but also the parole board letter, their reasoning, and also reaction to that. Rich?
So the governor says that he has carefully reviewed that recommendation from the parole board and he will not grant clemency to Benjamin Ritchie. So 25 years after killing Officer Bill Toney, Ritchie is now less than 6 days away from the state killing him. Benjamin Ritchie shot and killed Officer Bill Toney during a foot chase running from a stolen van in a Beech Grove neighborhood in September 2000. The parole board interviewed Ritchie for an hour at the Michigan City prison May 5th.
There's not a night that doesn't go by that night doesn't haunt me, I think about it all the time. It doesn't go away. When you take someone's life, it don't go away. It's always there.
On Monday, the 5-member board heard 4 hours of testimony for and against clemency, including an expert on fetal alcohol syndrome disorder. In its letter to the governor recommending against clemency, the board wrote, "We find that a vast majority of the information related to Benjamin Ritchie's history of abuse and neglect, including but not limited to prenatal alcohol exposure, has been appropriately considered by the fact finders and judicial officers tasked with considering the evidence." The state deputy public defender representing Ritchie responded to the recommendation. Before learning the governor would not stop the execution, Mark Koselke said, "We are extremely disappointed that the parole board concluded that Mr. Ritchie's death sentence is based on accurate information." The parole board recommendation also notes the long wait for justice for the victim's family. The outcome that those individuals were promised by a jury of Mr. Ritchie's peers was that Mr. Ritchie would ultimately be put to death for his egregious actions. The family and friends of Bill Toney have patiently waited for the day when that sentence would be fulfilled.
It's time for this chapter of my story, our story, to be closed. Time for us to remember Bill's life and not his death. It's time.
And I asked Dee Dee Horn, Officer Toney's widow, for her reaction today to the parole board recommendation against clemency. She replied by text message, a message you just heard: "It is time." And time appears to be running out for Benjamin Ritchie. His lawyers have asked the U.S. Supreme Court for a stay of execution. That may be the only last-ditch effort.
Right. Okay. Keep us updated, Rich. Thank you. The scheduled execution of Benjamin Ritchie for killing a Beech Grove police officer decades ago is now scheduled for just a week away.
The Indiana Parole Board heard testimony for 4 hours today from people asking for clemency or asking for the death penalty sentence to be enforced. Rich Nye has the most impactful moments from today's clemency hearing.
The 5-member Indiana Parole Board listened to 4 hours of testimony. Most of it centered on what happened September 29, 2000, when Benjamin Ritchie shot and killed Officer Bill Toney during a foot chase in a Beech Grove neighborhood.
We all have choices in our life, and he chose to kill Bill. He chose to have Bill's unit number tattooed on his neck, chose to call me a bitch in court. He chose to not accept his fate and take his punishment. Sin has consequences, and that God can sort out the details. It's time.
Ritchie's attorneys presented an expert who detailed Ritchie's fetal alcohol syndrome disorder, and a special education teacher from Ritchie's childhood testified.
Severe emotional handicap that the adolescent Ben Ritchie had as a 6th grader and 7th grader and 8th grader that I interacted with daily were the same disabling conditions that were in effect as he was being pursued by Officer Toney.
He is the epitome of a sociopath. Sociopaths exhibit a range of traits including a lack of empathy, impulsivity, and disregard for social norms and the rights of others.
The parole board will make a recommendation to Governor Braun, who makes the decision on clemency. During the lunch break, a small group of protesters held a news conference.
We urge Governor Braun to consider Ben Ritchie's disabilities, to see the whole person, and to show mercy. True justice considers not just what someone did, but who they are and what they are capable of understanding.
Benjamin Ritchie is scheduled to die by lethal injection on May 20th. at the Indiana State Prison in Michigan City. In Indianapolis, Rich Nye, 13 News.
Hello. I'm going to keep mine really short. As you know, let me back up just a minute. Let me take a deep breath. It's time. Bill was one day shy of his 32nd birthday, and he was killed. I was 31. Jess was 4. And Emily was 18 months old. I am now 56. And that shy 4-year-old is almost 29. And that spunky, adorable 18-month-old is 26. It's time. Over the years, I've spoken a lot about Bill publicly. From that first time reading my victim statement in court in 2002 to police officer memorial services and numerous news stories. I felt it was my duty to keep Bill's memory alive and for his voice to be heard. I've talked about his life as a husband, father, friend, son, brother, police officer, and the impact his death had on all of us. And now I stand before you today to speak about the final justice he deserves. With Psalm 16:8 in my heart, I keep my eyes always on the Lord, with him at my right hand, because I will not be shaken. It's time. I remember signing the paperwork to seek the death penalty against the perp with prosecutor Scott Newman. I remember sitting in court every day listening to the case. I remember the sentencing hearing and reading my victim statement. I remember the relief that came over all of us that justice had prevailed. 12 of his peers had found him guilty of murdering a police officer and had recommended the death penalty. I remember thinking, it's over. We can now honor and remember Bill without thinking and worrying about the man who killed him. And here we are today. It is time. I come to this board today to ask that you not recommend clemency for him. A week ago, I sat in the same room as him, less than 10 feet away, and listened to him speak. While some may have gleaned remorse from what he said, that is not what I heard. I heard excuses. I've heard and I've read excuses of a poor childhood, fetal alcohol syndrome, and living in a rough neighborhood. And it occurred to me as I've taught for the last 34 years at an elementary school less than a mile away from where Bill was killed, that I've taught 100 Benjamin Ritchies. And they had difficult upbringings, and they had obstacles in their lives. And to my knowledge, none of them have made this decision. None of them made a choice to be a criminal and kill a police officer. We all have choices in our life, and he chose to kill Bill. He chose to have Bill's unit number tattooed on his neck. He chose to call me a bitch in court. He chose to not accept his fate and take his punishment. A good friend who's with us today recently told me that sin has consequences and that God can sort out the details. It's time. I'm tired. We're all tired. We all know that by putting him to death will not bring Bill back. That's not why we are here. We are here to plead that justice is carried out, that the state of Indiana would send a strong message that when a police officer is killed in the line of duty, that the death penalty will be sought. We are here because we believe in a system that honors its protectors and punishes those who choose to destroy our peaceful towns. It is time. It's time for this chapter of my story, our story, to be closed. Time for us to remember Bill's life and not his death. It's time. Thank you.
I just wish I could take that back.
An Indianapolis man scheduled for execution in 2 weeks today answered to the parole board while asking for clemency. Benjamin Ritchie shot and killed Beech Grove police officer Bill Toney almost 25 years ago.
Our Rich Nye has been covering this case closely for years now, while reporting in depth on the death penalty in the state of Indiana. So Rich was at that hearing today, and we were very interested because we haven't been able to hear from him directly through this matter. Today was an opportunity. What else did he have to say today?
Well, we heard apologies, we heard remorse, and this is off from a man who says he is haunted knowing he killed a police officer. Today could be the last time the public ever hears from Benjamin Ritchie.
Benjamin Ritchie.
The 5-person parole board interviewed Benjamin Ritchie for an hour at the Indiana State Prison in Michigan City.
I'm just not that kid I was 25 years ago. That kid was lost. He needed guidance. And I have guidance now.
On September 29, 2000, the 19-year-old Ritchie ran from a stolen van in a Beech Grove neighborhood. Officer Bill Toney pursued him. Ritchie turned back and shot Toney 5 times, killing the 31-year-old husband and father of 2 girls. Toney's wife, mother, sister, and daughter were among the people at the clemency hearing.
I ruined my life and other people's lives, and I'm so sorry for that night. If I could go back and just shake that kid, because he wouldn't have listened to nobody, and tell him, you're about to really screw things up here, man. You're about to go somewhere you can't fix. You can't take back what you did.
Ritchie received the death penalty sentence in 2002. He sat on death row while the state halted executions for 15 years. Now he is scheduled to die by lethal injection May 20th. He's asking instead to spend the rest of his life in prison doing something positive.
William Toney's life could best be served me helping other guys not reoffend. It's horrible he lost his life. There's not a day goes by I wish I couldn't take it back. Me helping other screw-ups not reoffend, not come back to Indiana's prisons. I think his life could best be served that way.